What's up, coffee people? How's it going? It's been almost a week since I mentioned I was going to do this milling, sorting, roasting, and cupping of one particular coffee from Bele Kara in Ethiopia. And I still haven't got to the milling stage, so it's time to do the milling. I've been busy with some other stuff actually relating to Ethiopia, which I'll be announcing shortly on the blog. But right now, let's get right to the milling. So the time difference here is actually kind of interesting because it doesn't matter that this coffee has been sitting here in this parchment for yet another week because it's barely been aging at all during that time. Those of you who work in coffee, you already know this, but maybe some of you who don't work in coffee don't know. And it's actually, frighteningly enough, there are people who work in coffee that don't know this either. But of course, green coffee ages just like any other agricultural product. So just because green coffee doesn't spoil in the same way that, say, fresh milk does, doesn't mean that time isn't of the essence. So coffee that's sitting in a warehouse in a bag for 2 years has nowhere near the same flavor as that same coffee had when it was first produced. So time is of the essence, but 6 days, first of all, isn't that big a deal. And second of all, this coffee is still sitting in parchment stage, which is something that, again, that you don't see very much of in coffee consuming countries like this one. You only see it in coffee producing countries, but it's very typical all over the world, not just in Ethiopia, but all over Latin America and Asia and other places in Africa, that coffee gets milled down to the stage that you see here, and then it's stored that way right up until the point it's ready for export, at which point it'll be milled by machine and get to the green stage that most of you who work in any sort of roasting operation, or those of you who home roast, the stage that you're familiar with, which is green coffee without this yellow parchment on it. So let me just zoom in here, if it is possible, so I can show you exactly what we're doing here. So this coffee, as you can see, let's get even closer, has a little yellow shell over it, and each one of these can be picked off, revealing the little bit of green coffee on the inside. These are very small beans from a very high elevation farming area in the Yirgacheffe area of Ethiopia. I just want to take apart one more of these so you can see what it looks like. So this is the actual bean right here, and there's the little yellow papery bit that came off. You can see. So what I'm going to do right now is see if I can't get a bunch of these all at once. It's a bit tricky. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. All right. So this makes a huge mess, as you can see, all over my table. But that's okay, that's part of the fun. And I'm just going to sort out the ones I get. Into there. I've seen people who can do this in like 4 seconds flat, and they've been doing it their whole lives. I'm pitifully inefficient at this, but live and learn, right? So what I'm getting out of this is unsorted coffee. So you're gonna see, I'll see all kinds of weird little problems with this coffee. You probably can't see here, but for instance, this one has a black spot right in the middle of it. But I'm gonna save all those now, and on the next video, we're gonna sort them so you can see how coffee is cleaned up before it is exported and roasted. So Maybe I'll zoom in, or maybe I'll just bring this closer to the camera. No. So there you can see what the parchment looks like. So, my project is going to be to mill all of this copyright here. But that's going to be a little bit tedious for you to sit there and watch. But hopefully, not hopefully, definitely by the next time I make a video, these will be all green coffee, like what I've got in here. And then we'll be ready to do the sorting before we go on with the roasting. So, there we go. That's a little bit about parchment coffee, a little bit about milling, and I hope you learned something today. And I'll talk to you soon.